Welcome to Soulful Kitchen Podcast. I'm Sun, the Bohemian Vegan. This Own Your Health series is all about the journey to intuitive healing and living in optimal health. Thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of season 1, Own Your Health. In this episode, I have a very special guest and new vegan friend on the show, Jill from One Love Vegan. As a self-proclaimed foodie with Italian heritage, Jill never imagined she might one day discover the deep satisfaction of a vegan lifestyle. When she began her vegan journey, she had no idea it would mean that she would be happier than she'd ever been. With over 20 years of cooking experience, Jill was on a mission to help busy people make an easy transition to eating less animals and less animal products through her flavorful and satisfying meals with recipes that anyone can create. I hope that you are inspired by Jill's journey and adventures to becoming vegan. Welcome to Soulful Kitchen. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It feels like I know you already.
I know, same.
Yeah, exactly. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your own health journey to becoming vegan?
Sure. So my name is Jill Homiak. I'm One Love Vegan on Instagram. And I went vegan in June of 2020. So it's been about like 17 or so months. And so basically, I feel like I'd always kind of, being vegan always resonated with me, but I just thought like, oh no, like I could never do that. I imagine a lot of vegans probably have had that, thought before they went vegan. I had done the Whole30 challenge about like 5 times, and it was the end of 2018, I think. Yeah, end of 2018, and I kind of wanted to do something for my health, but I really wasn't sure what, and it wasn't going to be the Whole30 again. And then I kind of just got caught in this whole rabbit hole of alkaline eating, particularly Dr. Sebi's information. And just some of the information that I saw, I was like, well, now I now know this information. There's like, I can't unknow it, or unsee what I've seen. So I thought, okay, well, I'm not necessarily ready to 100% give up meat and just go vegan, like launching right into it. So I gave up meat for most of 2019. I probably was eating it like once a month or something. The only reason that I was still interested in eating meat was really for like cultural reasons. I said to myself, if I travel somewhere and I'm really wanting a cultural dish, like I'll eat it. And then so I did that, but then the more and more that I wasn't eating meat, then when I would go to eat meat, I just wasn't enjoying it at all. Then the pandemic hit, and basically I found myself having time to like really figure it out. And I, had been watching other people's vegan journeys online, and basically I just jumped into it. And 1 week I went to the grocery store and purchased everything that was vegan, and then it just kind of went from there. And luckily I have over 20 years of cooking experience, so it ended up being a really creative endeavor for me. I know that that's not always true with vegans, but I've just found it to be such a creative outlet and such a unique way to be able to connect with people through food, and through food that I try to make as healing as possible. I think the other thing that's really quite interesting about the vegan journey is, before you embark on the journey, I didn't even really think about what was going to happen after going vegan. I just thought, okay, well, you just change the things you eat and that's the end of the story. But it really just opens your eyes to so many other things. And as a meat eater, there's so much cognitive dissonance happening. And what I mean by that is to say, so many of us have pets or have had pets or no pets. And if you've interacted with a pet, that they have emotions and feelings, and they get scared and they get happy. And that's the same for every single animal. No exceptions. And but yet, most pet owners probably eat meat, and so there's this complete disconnect, and it's very much set up to be a disconnect. So once you kind of get rid of that one disconnect, there's just you really start to see how many other disconnects like are in your life. And if you want to do something about them, you can. If not, then that's your choice too.
I know for myself that when I encourage other people to be vegan, the one the one negative response that I get about it, and it's not the usual like protein and all the other stupid questions that we get asked, but actually the number one thing is that I don't have time to cook. I don't cook. I'm not a person who can cook. And that really saddens me because we've become so accustomed to processed foods. And I, like you, have been cooking my whole life since I was a child with my grandmother, and I'm so thankful that I've had that life experience. But yeah, I do find it's very difficult for some people because of that reason. So
Mhm.
that was a really nice introduction. Like I really enjoyed listening to that. And so 17 months, that's incredible what you've done in that 17 months. You seem to be very, very like I thought you must have been vegan for years. Do you have any other platforms that you do like other than Instagram?
Right now, I use Instagram as my platform to drive people to my email newsletter and my
Yep.
text club. So if
Yep.
someone's in the US or Canada, they can sign up for my text club. And
Yep.
basically, it's a way to, for me to be able to get in front of people and hopefully get them the information that they need that would be helpful to them, like free recipes or
Yep.
cooking tips or health tips, things like that. And then I'll have an email newsletter for the US or anybody outside the US who wants to kind of connect with me in, I would say, just, a more meaningful way than
Yep.
Instagram or an additional way than
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, that's great. I noticed that your cookbook is released today. So I
Yes.
feel very special that I got to like speak to you on this day. So do you
Yeah.
want to do you want to explain a little bit more about the cookbook, and would you like to share some
Sure.
details about it? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll kind of start in a place where you left off, which was to say, you've been cooking your whole life and you learned from, you were cooking with your grandmothers or
Yeah.
grandmother. So I luckily had a very similar experience. My mom's parents had a garden, so my sister and I grew up harvesting all different types
Yeah,
of fruits and
nice.
vegetables and herbs from their garden, and then also being in the kitchen with our grandmother to see how she would cook and learn all these tips from her and cook with her. And so and then my mother was also a really great cook, and I learned cooking from so many amazing women. I mean, some of whom I think could be chefs, like
Yeah.
they're that good. All of this cooking knowledge and talent and experience. And so, when I went vegan, I fell into the trap of like all the processed stuff. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going vegan. So, like, what do I eat? Well, there's all these vegan items at the store. So, I'm going to buy them. But then realizing very quickly, like, these are so salty and like, I don't even know what these ingredients are. And that's not how I ate as a non vegan. So, I certainly didn't want to make that my like how I was going to eat as a vegan. But it's basically taken time and it's all been a transition. But I realized, I need like my go-to recipes and what am I going to cook every
Yeah.
week, that's satisfying. While I have this background where both of my grandmothers were Italian, so I have Italian American heritage that I'm very proud of. But then I grew up in Washington, D.C., so I've been, rubbing shoulders with people from all over the world and have friends from, with people all over the world. All of those cuisines are ones that I enjoy eating on a daily basis. My e-cookbook is a globally inspired e-cookbook with 49 recipes from breakfast, sides, entrees, desserts. All of them are whole food forward. So I use very, very few processed
Yeah.
ingredients. And they only are, the some of the cheeses that are on the market. There is a recipe for like a spreadable sunflower seed spread. I also recognize there's like a delicate balance of, you want it to be whole foods and accessible, but at the same time I want to make the recipes relatable enough so that when someone sees it they see, oh, that's jackfruit buffalo dip as opposed to chicken buffalo dip. The texture and the spices are going to be the same. So
Yeah.
though, it's likely going to resonate with non-vegans. And then, of course, hopefully it'll resonate with vegans as well, for folks who don't necessarily like to cook, don't know what to cook, have been cooking the same things all the time and want something new, or maybe just ordering out too much because of the pandemic or whatever it is. Yeah, I really thought through, how to make it as accessible as possible. I've also listed all of the allergen information, 12 allergens and which recipes are free from them, and basically how to swap in order to make it allergen free based on the person who's making the dish. I really hoped that I thought through everything. I'm sure I'll get feedback once people start making the recipes and cooking these meals. Yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes. Just hopeful people kind of connect with it and the recipes resonate.
Definitely. And is what's the title of the ebook? Is it
It's Live Boldly by
nice?
One Love Vegan.
You mentioned with your heritage being, your grandparents being or your grandmothers both being Italian. Are there certain recipes that you're using that come from that origin, like something that your grandmothers have taught you, or yeah?
So there are a couple. So one is a Baccala style salad. So Baccala is salted codfish, which was a product that came out of mainly the slave trade. That's
Yeah.
basically traded all over the world. So you'll find salted codfish being very popular in the Caribbean, as well as Portuguese, Greek, and Italian dishes.
Yeah.
So instead of codfish, I've used hearts of palm, shaved fennel, and parsley and olives. And it's a traditionally Sicilian dish, and one that was eaten around Christmas. I actually used the exact recipe from my great great grandmother, and then just adopted it for a vegan recipe. And so much texture, so much flavor. I recreated it and made it once. And I was like, this is good enough that it's like going in the eCookbook. And as I was eating it, I was just thinking, there are so many people who I know who I think would just love it. It's such a bright and bold salad. And I know people who, yeah, basically who aren't vegan and don't like fish. And I thought, oh, they would love this salad. So again, trying to think of, all the different people who would enjoy something like that. I think anybody who likes a great summer salad that's bright. And also I use it to top on my cauliflower steak. All of the textures and again the flavors that come together, it's really great.
When I was doing my cooking business in India, one of the things that I kind of was doing was veganizing food. And I think that's the issue is that most people are actually after flavor, but we've so conditioned ourselves
Mhm.
to think that we have to have the animal as part of the dish, There's no like segregation. So if we could
Mhm.
just change that way of thinking would be amazing. Yeah. But it's a progression.
There are so many different whole food ingredients that can be swapped based on the texture that you're looking for. And to your point, I mean, we're looking for flavorful food to eat. So everything that I'm cooking, it's all about adding the flavor to the texture, and
Yeah.
then I'm basically arriving at the same taste and texture at the end of the recipe.
What was it like for you to transition? Did you feel like some days, oh, I can't do this, or there were times when, or it was just like, nah, I'm doing this and that's it, I'm done. Yeah.
It was like, I'm doing this. I'm like, that's it. And I think that's because by the time I had reached when I said I'm that's it, I'm going vegan, I had already gone through a transition process of reducing my meat intake and then realizing actually in fact I'm not enjoying this anymore and don't want this. I like cheese on, pizza and things that it would generally go on, but then I mean, once you give it up at this point, it's just the thought of consuming that is just of absolutely no interest to me whatsoever. I've actually recently realized that even some of the fake meats are like too real for me, and I just much prefer the whole foods as opposed to a soy or seitan or
Yeah.
PVP replacements. That it's a little too real, and I'm like, no, I actually don't like that sensation anymore. Yeah, I mean, that's to the point about the transition. And then because you said, well, did I find any of it hard? I mean, I think what was such a great thing for me, a couple things. One was I was also doing this during at the beginning of the pandemic where basically everything was shut down. I was not interacting with people. I wasn't seeing people. So it's not like I was doing my transition and then at the same time going out and my friends were eating my favorite foods and I was watching them eat it. So I was kind of sheltered and secluded during the
Yeah.
transition, which I actually think was really helpful because now when I go out, I mean, I again, like there's just no thought. I am not interested in what other non-vegans are eating.
Do you have a lot of vegan friends? Like, is it easy? No? No?
No, so I mean, really, my whole vegan community I found online. I mean, I have met a few vegans like in person after I went vegan, and they're my friends, but I don't live close to them. All of my, I mean, everybody else who I hang out with is not vegan. I did successfully like get my dad to stop eating meat. He still eats fish, but I just told like when I very first was giving up meat, I told him like everything that I had learned, and he was like, "Oh, well, I don't really like meat that much, so I'm just gonna give it up."
It's all helping. It's to the
Yeah.
greater cause, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I mean that's another thing that I want to point out is I have had a number of people say to me like I don't feel judged by you. I don't feel like you're trying to, force being vegan onto me. And I really that's the approach that I take because mainly women who I followed on social media who were vegan, it was just them showing me what they were eating and it happened to look great and it was vegan. I think my approach to it as well is you're going to win, more hearts with like positivity and leading with the heart and love as opposed to leading with like judgment or anything of that sort. And also, I mean, I can't imagine being judgmental of someone when I was a meat eater for however long. That's something that I think that's important to say because if anybody is ever thinking about going vegan, I would say find people online or find people in real life who are interested in your transition, interested in supporting you. There are so many people who want to help and so many people who have so many different resources to share. I think that that's just one of the another amazing thing about going vegan is that basically the instant community that you have.
I mean, I've met a lot of vegans in India, but I haven't met a lot of vegan. I don't think I've met one vegan, one or two maybe vegans in Mexico. But in India, it was a lot easier because like I actually helped start one of the very first full vegan restaurants in the area that I lived in India. But yeah, so it was a lot easier to meet people on holidays that came to India because people from all around the world. But in Mexico, no. The things about manifestation and being in touch with the planetary alignments, like, is there a background to that as well in your history, I guess?
Yes, so I can share more about that. So two things in particular. One is my father is a cultural anthropologist.
Wow.
So he has worked with the Rasta community for his entire professional life. So I grew up knowing and learning and meeting Rastas and learning about their culture. I'd been to Jamaica in high school, but then I recently went, I guess it was in I can't remember what year it was, but anywho, the island, if you've never been there, is just a very special place and you can really feel the energy of it. I mean, I remember saying, like, I feel like the earth, the whole world, like, came together in at least in this place. Like, I'm sure there are other places around the world where you can feel that same type of energy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's only felt in one place.
Yeah, exactly.
So just feeling that energy, and of course Rastas are Ital, so they're vegan and they take it at least one step two steps farther that I can think of, which is one to say they don't use salts and they don't consume alcohol. The Ital veganism has a spectrum, but that's the kind of the most religious of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So just, really feeling that energy and the kind of like healing power of being Ital. I think that really just kind of like propelled me forward. And then secondly, I also one of the women who inspired me to go vegan was I Am Surviving Vegan, who's also on Instagram, and she basically talks about, detoxing to manifest. And essentially I was doing that last year, but I didn't really I didn't really realize that's what was happening until I was like actually putting the steps together and the pieces together to realize, oh, okay, I'm removing old energy or stagnant energy or just eliminating something that doesn't serve me anymore. And that therefore is creating this space for something that I do want. And then realizing, well, okay, if I'm going to be doing this, I can also be aligning this with what I know is happening kind of in the astrological realm. And so it all kind of just came, it's all kind of coming together and still coming together and still kind of, working its way out. But that was the origins, I would say, of how it came to be for me.
Yeah, and it is a journey, isn't it? Like I always say that my health journey and my spiritual journey, they're separate things. They sometimes did align. Like there were certain things in it. I teach English and I had a student the other day and we were talking about time. And I said, yeah, I can look outside and I can tell you like it's around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And they're like, what? You can tell the time by looking outside? And I was like, yeah, but I realized that not everyone, again, is as in tune with the forces of nature. And it's really important to have that as well, I think.
I can't agree more. I think the spiritual and the health journey are different, but at some point you kind of begin to realize, at least for me, that they're interconnected. Like body, mind, and spirit are all together as one. So if you're nourishing one in a positive way, I think it kind of only spills over, and yeah, it kind of all just bubbles together.
Is there anything like you'd like to share with the people that are listening or on the YouTube video? Like anything that you feel that would help them in their journey or something you'd like to say with them to them about the fear of understanding like all of the things we've discussed? Like is there
Sure.
anything?
I really thought I was like the only one who thought, oh, well, if I go vegan, how am I ever going to eat the foods that I ate growing up that I loved? They're Italian. How could I possibly recreate these? And then as I was doing the development of my cookbook, I connected with a number of individuals. I mean, maybe like 50 people to just basically understand like, are you vegan? If so, why? If not, why? And so many, so many, so many people say, I can't go vegan because I would be giving up all of the kind of cultural dishes that I am used to eating.
Yeah.
And what I found after going vegan is there's just absolutely nothing that can't be recreated. There's this one dish, it's a Croatian dish, it's called cevapcici,
Yeah.
and it's traditionally ground veal, pork, and beef or something like that. And our Croatian friends made it. I've been to Croatia, I've eaten it there, and then I on my feed one day see it pop up as like a vegan recipe, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like just the things that you can't even imagine could be recreated. I mean, there are vegans all over the world. There are vegans who've eaten so many different things. So I think I mean, what I would say is like, it's such an exciting time to be vegan because, yeah, there's all these prepackaged foods, but I mean, there's so many people online, so much access to tools and resources. And there's that piece. And then the other thing is like, whatever your vegan journey is, it's yours.
Yeah.
Nobody has your journey. No one's journey is going to be like mine. Also, it's not about perfection. I've eaten something thinking, oh, this is vegan. And then I look at it and I'm like, darn, like I
Yeah.
should have read that more closely. It's not about perfection. It's about really putting your best possible effort forward to say, consuming animals in any shape or form no longer fuels me, no longer serves me, no longer aligns with me, whatever it might be, taking small steps to get there. Like it's not a race. And again, people are here to help you. So just keeping all of those things in mind.
Also, it can be a little daunting because I know in the days, I don't find it as much now, but it could be because I've completely moved away from it as well. But when I first became vegan, I jumped on all these Facebook groups, and I think one of them was Vegans United or something. It's like one of the biggest ones. And I just found it was just this constant bickering and judgment. And I had to just take myself off them because I found that they were becoming too negative for me, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that can be daunting for other people as well. So, yeah, do you have any advice for that kind of thing?
Yeah, what I would say is find the community that speaks to you. There
Yeah.
are, like you said, I mean, there are tons and tons of resources and different communities online. But if one group or a certain person isn't resonating with you, I mean, just like any other kind of community or group that you're part of, if you play soccer and you're on a team, you'll probably like a couple of the people and maybe you won't like a few of the others. It's the same type of things. What I would say is, don't let any one person or group in particular dissuade you or, impress upon you that their way is the only way. Because when you start out, I mean, the other thing about being vegan, like I mentioned with Ital Vegan, is so many different types of vegans and so many different reasons why people are vegan.
Yeah.
And so just kind of finding out what resonates best with you, I think is really important. And just I would say, be patient and remember that it is a journey. So
Yeah.
there's, ups and downs, ebbs and flows,
Yeah.
positives and negatives.
But as you say, like, I think that anything that you can do to become vegan is going to not only help you to understand like animal rights, it's going to open up so much more, like the awareness of what's happening to the planet, the awareness of what's happening to people, to you personally. So, yeah, I say the same thing. Just take the step, do it slowly, do it fast, whatever it want to be. Like you and I are both the same. Just did it like that overnight. Was like, yep, just doing it. And I think the thing about giving up things, again, I did find being able to cook and have that invested interest in wanting to learn more about vegan cooking is also a plus. But what would you say to someone who can't cook? Like, what would you say? Like, would you have a suggestion for that? And also, like, how does your cookbook align to that?
Yeah, what I would say is if you don't know anything about cooking, I mean, I would just if you have an interest, like try to find cooking tips. Like if you whatever your favorite dish is that you don't think you can make at home, you can, I bet you can. Like it's watch YouTube tutorials, find people who are making the type of food that you like, continue watching them. My cookbook, I mean, I know that people want food and they want it fast, and like you said, a lot of people don't know how to cook or where to start. Many of my recipes are very easy. I've kept all of them to less than 45 minutes. I know that sounds like a really long time when you're like hungry, but like, and not all of them even take that long, but none of them really go past 45 minutes.
You go to a restaurant, you're waiting pretty much that time anyway, right?
Food from like if you're sitting at home and you use apps to order food, I mean, by the time you order it and it gets to you, it's probably going to be 45 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, it's really not, if you think about it, it's not as much time as we think it is. That's probably how much time it's going to take for you to get real food
Yeah.
that you're going to enjoy eating. But I do have recipes where, a cinnamon banana smoothie that takes, 60 seconds to blend in a blender, or buffalo jackfruit dip that's like, six different
Yum.
ingredients. So good. Six different ingredients, dice it and saute an onion, add the rest of the ingredients to the saute pan. I mean, very basic steps. And as I was writing the cookbook, because I had never written in a way that was to instruct someone how to cook, I really wrote it in the way that was as if you didn't know how to cook. I tried to make it very, very step by step in the hopes that it's easy to follow and easy to do. And I mean, the other thing is, I would say, if people like salads, like thinking about faster type meals that where you can really customize that yourself. I mean, people go out and spend in the States, will go to Sweet Green and spend like 12 to $15 on a salad. And I have, five or six different salad recipes in my e-cookbook that are incredibly satisfying, and all it requires is to really like dice all of the ingredients and put them together and blend together your dressing. I mean, again, just tried to keep it simple, knowing that not everybody knows how to cook or likes to cook. But at the end of the day, it is an activity that I mean, eating is an activity that all of us do on a daily basis. I would say, knowing how to cook is something that I think is highly encouraged. Like, feel free to go and find simple ways to cook ingredients that you already love.
And I know myself, it's very meditative. Like I love cooking because I find that when you move well, this is actually scientific truth, is that when you move your body, that go for a walk, that you have like a sensory awareness in your legs and your feet that help you to, like it's an intuitive place. Like we think of our hearts and our gut as being intuitive, but actually our legs and our feet are as well. So like, when you maybe had a moment where you go, I just need to go for a walk. That's exactly what happens is the intuition comes. And so I find like when I'm in the kitchen, if I've got things I need to sort through my head, it all just comes out while I'm cooking. And then I might make a little note or do a little voice message to myself or something like that. But, just like
That's
helps me.
interesting information.
Because I think it's incredible that you have created a 49 recipe vegan cookbook and you've only been vegan for 17 months. So well done to that. Like that's
Thank
amazing.
you.
So would you have any advice in how to get an ebook done or a recipe book done or anything like that? Is there any advice along those lines that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I would say is the one thing about it is it's easy for me to think of like what recipes I personally wanted, but I and this was through my mentor, I am surviving vegan, to really think about like what is your consumer actually want? If you're going to make something, like, yes, you obviously want to make it something that's true to you, but also what are you actually trying to address through your product? So, and like I said, I mean, I knew so many people, wanted really fast recipes, so I tried to keep that in mind as I was creating my e-cookbook. I would also just say, I mean, consistency. Like, my friend was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you like finished it so fast." And I was thinking, I know, me too. But basically, like, I was just very consistent about it. I set a personal deadline for myself. I planned backwards to figure out, okay, this is the date. I have this much time. What do I need to do in each of these weeks? And I think, and this kind of goes like to my spiritual journey too. It's like we spend so much time giving to other people, and I really, this project was about like me giving something to myself as much as it is about, getting it out to the world. It was also a project for me. I made these goals and this deadline for myself, and I wanted to honor myself and my journey by completing the project in the time that I set forth, and getting it out. And yeah, and obviously, people have busy lives and they have so many things to do. I had a very like aggressive schedule for myself. And I think this also just goes back to like how to be vegan. It's like, again, the journey is your own. So do things that feel like right and true to you and not external or what other people want from you. Do something that feels true and right for you. And I think as long as you're consistent, that was really key. And the other thing too is like ask for help. Traditionally, I've been very like poor at asking people for help, and I could have even done a better job like as I went through this project. I think it's just something to keep in mind. Like, people, I'm sure you've developed, your own friends and family networks, and it's like people, for me, luckily, like I've had so many people who were so excited for me. And so like I hope anybody who's setting out on an adventure or project like this has that same type of support and can call on people for help like as they need it throughout the process. Because I mean, you're wearing so many hats. It's like I'm cooking, I'm promoting, I'm taking photos, I'm taking videos, like I'm creating a website. Like, there are people in your life, hopefully, who can, help you with, because they know more about it than you do. So, where you can find those resources, I would say definitely like call on other people for help.
I guess as like a final kind of wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say? Like anything about that, like, what vegan is to you, about the animals, like what you are, other than cooking, anything else you might be actively involved in? Yeah.
Yeah, what I would say is like, right now what the way that I look at what I'm focused on is I'm focused on spreading seeds of love.
Yeah.
So, I'm spreading them through my videos, I'm spreading them through my content, I'm spreading it through my cookbook. So, for anybody who wants to, get a sense of the energy that is created after going vegan and how much kind of passion and enthusiasm I, in particular, have for being vegan, for cooking vegan, for bringing vegan food to as many people as possible. Like, I would love if you would interact with me on Instagram. I'm One Love Vegan. I share cooking tips. I'll be sharing more of them. I will be sharing free recipes. So, use me as a place to start.
Yeah, I think seeds of love is a nice that's nice. Yeah, I like that.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
with your cookbook, where will it be available? So, yep.
It's available for purchase via my Instagram
Yep.
profile. So the link is in my bio. It's just like my link tree.
Yep.
So if you go to One Love Vegan on Instagram, you can purchase it there.
And does that take you to your website, or is it, yeah.
It takes
Yeah.
you to a website that has like an about me page,
Nice.
and just like a little bit more about what the cookbook is. And then if you just click on the shop page, it's an immediate purchase. You just pay and then you'll receive an email that lets you download the PDF file directly to your computer and then it's
That's
yours.
nice. And do you want to mention the cost today?
So sure,
Yeah,
it's $39 for 49 recipes,
that's amazing.
along with a number of cooking tips, health tips that are like sprinkled throughout the whole recipe e-cookbook. So
Nice.
yeah,
Well, look, thank you so much for coming and joining me
you.
today.
I wanted to say thank you for having me. Thank you for thinking of me. Like, this has been a really great conversation. I've enjoyed talking to
Yeah,
you.
you too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm really, really, like, it just sort of timed out well that it was on the day that your cookbook's actually being released, which is very
yeah,
cool. So yeah, that's
yes,
nice.
thank you. It did.
All the best with your cookbook.
Great.
Okay, see you later.
Bye.
Bye bye. What a beautiful journey Jill from One Love Vegan has had so far. In 17 months, she not only turned her life around, but she also managed to write a 49-page cookbook. I feel so blessed personally to be meeting such inspirational vegans who are using their passion for food as a way to help others transition. Next week, I'm hoping to bring another very creative vegan, Violet from Positive Outlet, who not only loves to share her recipes, but she also is an artist. In upcoming episodes, I'll also be discussing medical topics around candida and autoimmune disorders and how candida can be the root of so many health issues. I hope you'll drop by, and don't forget, if you want to be featured on the show, please let me know. You can find all my social media links plus more in the show notes. So I hope that you live your life in good health, eat lightly, breathe deeply, live moderately, cultivate cheerfulness, and maintain an interest in life. Namaste.